What's up, people? Today I'm going to get into The Dark Knight in 4K Ultra HD, and I got that coming up for you guys next. So The Dark Knight in 4K Ultra HD, I am just going to get right into the 4K presentation and not even talk about the Blu-ray. That came out in 2008, so that was a long-ass time ago, and you don't want to hear me talk about that. Now, a large majority of this movie was filmed on 35mm, I promise, and then there were a few key scenes that were filmed on a special IMAX camera with a different aspect ratio. So now you're going to see aspect ratios definitely shifting. This was actually the first time that Christopher Nolan would do that, and that is something that he likes because that is something that he's done in, I believe, every single movie since. I'd have to see Inception and see if he does it on that one, because honestly, that's the one that I don't remember. And like all of the other films in the Christopher Nolan collection, this is actually a 4K scan, so no digital intermediate on this one. But hey, how does it look? It looks damn good. It looks really good, and it improves on all of the spots that you want to see improvements with from the 2008 Blu-ray. That was good for its time, but now it's a bit dated in my mind. One particular scene that has always been a problem for me is the opening shot when it's going over the skyscrapers. I always notice a bit of aliasing in the windows of those skyscrapers, and it's something that's always been there for me, and it's like a pet peeve of mine. I've checked it out on a bunch of different TVs actually, and it's always been there. But I am proud to say that it is gone here in 4K. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And hey, you know what? With the upgrade for the HDR, you get a whole different, really more dynamic color palette here. You know, you're going to have a lot of blown out, very steely colors, and you have a lot of deep blacks, and you definitely get a lot more variation in those steel colors or very deep blues or deep blacks. There is a whole lot of variation in this color palette now that I notice and that I like, just because of the fact that I feel like that is one thing that Christopher Nolan doesn't do. There isn't a whole lot of variation in his color palettes. They seem to be a lot of the same thing, and to see that expanded upon is a welcome change. And, you know, detail work is great here as well. You can see every line in Heath Ledger's face. You can see almost every imperfection of Batman's suit, and you know, the list can go on and on and on. I feel like this is a very strong transfer, and for that I do have to give it a 9 out of 10. I'm going to be a little bit more harder on video transfers from here out. I don't feel like this is reference quality, but I do feel like this is really up there. So the audio of The Dark Knight. This, I definitely have a bone to pick with right off the top, because of the fact that none of these movies in this collection come with a Dolby Atmos track, and that is something that I feel like would really bump this up, but it's not here, and damn it, Nolan, what are you doing to me? But again, you know, Nolan, he works his Nolan-esque voodoo on me, and he just comes out with this DTS HD track, which is a different track than on the Blu-ray to begin with anyway, but this still is a very good uptick from that Dolby True HD mix that came out in 2008. This is a very dynamic, very expansive, very wide filled track that I feel like is just really top notch as far as DTS HD tracks, and I don't feel like you can get a lot better than this, actually. But that isn't to say that when the action starts hitting, this doesn't hit hard, because it actually does hit hard. Like in the scene where the trailer flips over at night in that highway chase scene that everybody knows from this movie. It is really great, and when Batman comes out with his, like, you know, his bat motorcycle thing, I forget what they call it, but hey, that is rip-roaring, like rattle your walls kind of bass, and that is impressive. And for that, I can't ding this other than say that it isn't an Dolby Atmos track. I still have to give it a 10 out of 10. Damn it, Nolan, why do you do it to me all the damn time? But still, I do have to give you a come on, man. So come on, man! Give me a Dolby Atmos track. So next, I have to get into the special features for The Dark Knight, and you won't want to miss it because I got it coming up for you next. So the special features for The Dark Knight, I definitely have to bring something up right here, and that is something I'm going to be doing in this segment. For those of you who haven't heard me talk about it before, if you buy this box set that I have sitting next to me right there, I will just say that it doesn't come with any digital copies. None. The standalone Blu-rays do, but these do not. And that is actually a big deal, because these 4K Blu-rays do not come with Dolby Vision. They should, but they don't. But those digital copies that come with the standalone editions do have Dolby Vision, and I can't check it out for you guys to see if they are worth it just because I don't have them. But that is something to think about, just so you guys, I can bounce that off with you. But getting into the actual special features here, all of them are on the Blu-ray. None of them are on the 4K disc, but you have a picture-in-picture mode. It's the same one that came out in 2008. It is definitely an interesting take. I always find this a little bit more easier for me to pay attention to rather than an audio track. I like when Zack Snyder does it, and I like that Christopher Nolan did it here. And it's something that I've come back to time and time again just because of the fact that I like it a lot. And then for featurettes, you have making of the Batmobile, and then all of the actors talking up the movie for about half an hour, actually. It's not that informative, but you do have a still gallery and a lot of other stuff. You know, you definitely have a decent package here. And I know Nolan likes to have his movies speak for themselves, and he doesn't like to do a whole lot of special features just because, you know, he wants it to all be in the movie. So with that in mind, for this, I do have to give it a 7 out of 10. None of the special features are on the 4K disc, like I said, so I had to ding it a little bit for that, but hey, what are you going to do? So next, I'm going to be getting into my last looks and my overall score for The Dark Knight in Ultra HD. And I got that coming up for you guys next. Guys, what can I say about The Dark Knight that hasn't already been said? This movie is a staple and a classic for a lot of people. It isn't for me, you know, it's just below that for me, but hey, it doesn't matter what I think. People have already labeled it that. It has amazing performances and an airtight script, probably the best script in the past 10 years. And that is just because this thing is impeccable. You know, it is so detailed and it has so many allegories that are still relevant today, then statements that are still relevant today that it wants to say, and yet it never falters, and it always stays strong, and it never ceases to surprise people. And for that, if you didn't watch my video review for The Dark Knight, I gave it a 9 out of 10. And that would bring my overall score for The Dark Knight in 4K to a 35. It is definitely a disc that you guys are going to want to pick up if you have a 4K TV. It's just that plain and simple, people. So next, I do have to get into The Dark Knight Rises. I'm going to be chugging right along with this Christopher Nolan series, but I will be taking a break because I do have to review a Criterion disc, actually, because Silence of the Lambs is coming out, and I felt like that would be a good time for me to get into Criterion. So if you're excited about me reviewing Silence of the Lambs, comment below and let me know of other Criterion releases that you guys want me to review. And hey, I will definitely try to do that for you guys. And subscribe so you know when those videos come out, people, because you know that I'm going to be putting them out in rapid succession. And thank you all for watching. You guys are great, and I will see all of you next time.